If he doesn't sign those papers today, I lose everything, my home, my father's land, even the horses, and I won't let that happen, not again. Emma stood at the edge of her porch, wind teasing the hem of her simple cotton dress. Dust from the old Texas road curled into the sky like smoke. The sun burned down hard, but nothing burned harder than the ache in her chest. Just 1 year ago, she was a bride. Now, she was a widow, 25 years old, alone, and days away from losing the ranch her father had bled for. And this is where everything began. Emma Dalton never wanted much, just the land, just the horses, just peace. She grew up beneath the open sky, the hum of cicadas in summer, and the low rumble of cattle in spring. Her father was a quiet man, strong like old oak. When he passed, the ranch passed to Emma and her husband Luke. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. A truck swerved on the highway one rainy afternoon, and just like that, Luke was gone. No goodbyes, no last words, just one phone call and a lifetime unraveled. Emma tried to hold the ranch together alone, but bills stacked high like hay bales, and now a year later the bank was threatening foreclosure. There was only one loophole in the contract Luke had signed. If Emma could prove she had a capable husband to sign and manage the land jointly, she could buy herself another year, one more shot to save the land. And so, desperate and out of time, she posted a quiet request on a small town job board, looking for a temporary husband, strictly legal, no romance, must be able to work the land, payment negotiable. She didn't expect anyone to answer, especially not Mason Ridge. Mason was a drifter. He rolled into town on a dusty motorcycle, boots worn, jaw stubbled, and eyes like thunderclouds that had seen too many storms. He didn't say much at first, just stood at her gate, reading the post a second time like he couldn't believe someone had written it. "You're serious about this?" he asked, voice low and a little gravelly. "I don't joke when my life's on the line," Emma answered, her chin tilted stubbornly. He paused, then nodded once. "All right, I'll marry you." They signed the paperwork 2 days later in the courthouse. No ceremony, no rings, just ink, witnesses, and the ache of awkward silence between strangers. Mason moved into the ranch house that evening. Emma gave him the guest room. "Don't expect home-cooked meals," she warned. "And don't touch my horse. His name's Whiskey and he doesn't like strangers." Mason shrugged. "I don't expect anything." But what neither of them expected was how this pretend arrangement would change everything. At first it was a mess. They bickered about chores. Mason didn't like following rules. Emma didn't like letting go of control. She caught him smoking behind the barn, and he caught her crying into her late husband's jacket. There were late nights of silence, early mornings of tension, but slowly, like the first rain after a long drought, something began to bloom. Mason fixed the busted fence without being asked. He stayed up to help her bottle, feed a sick calf. He even began brushing Whiskey when Emma wasn't looking, and somehow that moody stallion let him. One night, a storm rolled in. Power went out. Emma lit candles and found Mason sitting at the kitchen table, staring at an old photo of Luke and her. "You loved him," he said, not as a question. "I still do," she whispered, "but that doesn't mean I don't want to keep living." He looked up at her, candlelight flickering in his eyes. "Good, because this place needs you, and so do the horses, and maybe someone else." Her heart didn't race. It ached because it had been so long since anyone looked at her like that, like she wasn't broken, but the fairy tale didn't last. Just when they began to feel like more than fake, Emma's world trembled again. A man showed up at the ranch gate, Blake Talford, her late husband's cousin, slick suit, snake smile. He claimed a stake in the ranch, claiming Luke promised him a share. A forged will, he said, a better claim than a fake marriage. Emma was crushed. Mason was furious. Blake offered money, even threats. "Give up the land, Emma. Go find yourself a new life, one that doesn't require you to sleep next to a man you barely know." But Mason stepped in. "She's not going anywhere," he growled. "Not now, not ever." The legal battle that followed drained them emotionally, financially, mentally. Emma had to testify about her marriage. Mason had to reveal parts of his past he'd buried. A prison stint for protecting his sister from an abuser. He'd kept it secret, ashamed, but now he laid it all out because Emma deserved the truth. You think I'm not good enough to be her husband? He snapped at Blake's lawyer. Maybe I'm not, but I'm better than anyone who would leave her to fall. And Emma? She stood tall, hand in Mason's. My husband is a good man, she said. And if you think love can only come with perfect timing and a clean past, you've never lived in the real world. In the end, the court ruled in their favor. Blake slithered away, defeated. The land was safe, the ranch was theirs, and Mason, he packed a bag the next day. You don't need me anymore, he said. I did what I came for. Emma stared at him for a long moment, then walked forward, pressing a palm to his chest. You're wrong. I never needed a husband. I needed someone to stand beside me, not in front of me. And now, I want you not as a fake, not as a helper, as a partner. Mason dropped the bag. Are you sure? Tears slipped down her cheeks. Never been surer. 1 year later, the ranch is alive again. Fences strong, horses healthy. The sun rising over fields that once wept with grief, now shine with hope. Emma and Mason, real husband and wife, now stand on the porch, fingers intertwined. You ever think about how it started? Mason asks. She laughs softly. A job post, a fake marriage, and a whole lot of brokenness. And now, she leans her head on his shoulder. Now, it's all real, and somehow even better than what I lost. Moral of the story. Life breaks. People leave, dreams fall apart. But sometimes in the middle of that wreckage, something unexpected grows something stronger. Love doesn't always come like a fairy tale. Sometimes it rides in on a motorcycle, carrying scars and silence. And sometimes the most beautiful beginnings are the ones that never should have happened. Never stop believing, never stop trying, never Emma.